in those areas.
Yeah, and if with that vision, if you notice, and you do, I mean, look what happened in New York. Look what happened downtown LA. You couldn't give properties away down there years ago. No one would buy them. In New York was the same thing in Harlem. And now those two areas, both downtown Los Angeles and Harlem in New York, are areas where it's almost, as a starter home, it's almost impossible to get in.
Absolutely.
So have the vision to understand that, when you purchase it, what the reason you're purchasing. It's not just because, it's a beautiful place to live, but you're building wealth.
Yes.
And you have to start at the beginning.
Absolutely.
At your beginning, wherever that is.
Well, our income, our duplex, the property that we invested in,
Yes.
it had no windows.
Oh, wow.
When we first purchased the duplex, it had no windows and no doors.
No, how about this? The house that we actually bought, the first house,
Yes.
had fleas.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right? So it had fleas and the grass was yellow.
wow.
And the roof was kind of coming down a little bit. It was kind of sagging.
That sagging
It
thing
was
going
sagging.
on.
Our family members wouldn't come to the house. They wouldn't come to the house.
Wow.
So, we was able to work it out, pull up the carpet. It had beautiful hardwood floors underneath.
Yes.
And we lived there, but we worked on the house too.
Okay.
Right? We built what you call sweat equity.
That's right.
That's what
That's
we did.
right.
Yeah. So we had to
Wow.
clean it up, and we made it nice and livable, but it wasn't the dream home.
Right.
But we made it a nice, comfortable place to live,
Right.
and so we went from there.
But you have to have vision, and that's what you're talking
Absolutely.
about. You have to have vision, and you can't worry about what people are saying about, because no one understands the road that you're traveling on to success until you get to success, and then they feel like, oh, you just woke up there.
Right.
Right.
When in actuality, usually you have to build it. Most wealthy people build their wealth. It was built at some point. Their children or grandchildren may inherit it, but at some point someone had to build it.
Absolutely.
Their building blocks. So I'm glad to be talking to you about this. This is exciting.
It really is.
Yeah, we're on Accelerated Radio, 24-hour gospel and praise. And we're talking to Yolanda and Abraham Williams, and they're with Keller Williams Real Estate. And we're talking about investing in properties and how to get started, the basics. If you want to call us, we're at 323-238-0445 with questions and comments. And you're listening to Accelerated Radio. I'm Miss Charliene, and you're having lunch with the Finance Bunch. It's so wonderful to have you guys in here. I told you I was excited about
We
this.
are super excited.
And I meant it. I had to calm myself down because I knew this was going to be a great, great show.
It is.
Absolutely.
We're so excited to be here. Thanks for having us again.
You're right. Every time we get a chance to sit here and talk and something that we're passionate about,
Exactly.
It's truly a blessing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And helping people to realize their dream.
Yes.
What better job can you have? I mean, that's just my opinion.
It's so true.
Yes.
We were not taught this, Charliene.
That's right.
Charliene, we were not taught how to invest. I went to plenty, and my wife went to plenty of seminars.
Yes.
We went to plenty of seminars, to Russ Whitney, to you name it, to Anthony Robbins, just trying to figure out some things. But this was not taught in our home. I know, Yolanda, for sure it wasn't taught in mine when I was growing up.
No.
Mine
my
either.
parents grew up in a different era, in a different time.
That's right.
I don't blame them, but the opportunities that we have today, they didn't have.
That's right.
So we are truly blessed to be able to sit here today on the show and share with you our experiences.
That's right.
And how you can go from zero to wherever you want to go.
That's right.
Really, because what's wealth for me is a different wealth for someone else, or my wife. If Bill Gates woke up today with my money, he would probably go jump off the Vincent St. Thomas Bridge, right?
That's true.
But then, if someone else woke up today that comes from nothing, that's
From
in
humble
transition,
beginnings.
from humble beginnings and
That's right.
homeless, they would look and say, this is it for me.
That's right. They
so
would have arrived. I know you too.
Right.
They would feel like they had arrived.
And we are still a work in progress. We truly are.
Yeah.
We are blessed to be a blessing, and we want to give back to people.
Exactly.
And show them how to, the roadmap. Literally sit down with you and show you the roadmap.
And that's really the basis for this show. And that's why I'm so excited about the guests that I have on, because that's really where my heart is to show people how they can go from whatever their humble beginnings are, wherever that is, and get to a place where they have, financial stability and
Yes.
then build financial wealth and maintain it.
Yes.
That's why we're going over the steps today
Yes.
of how you purchase an investment property and maintain it. You decide whether you want to sell it
Yes.
or rent it out and then pull money out of it and buy a second piece of property. And you take these steps one at a time.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. It is incremental steps that you take. And also, after you take that first step in purchasing your first investment property or home that you're going to live in, it might be your principal residence that you're going to actually live in there.
Right.
You start looking, a lot of times what I hear, Ms. Charliine, is that people are, they don't say there's no more opportunities out there.
Right.
There's no more properties to be bought. There's, what do I invest in?
Right.
If you say that, you won't see it.
Exactly.
They're there.
They're there.
You just have to look.
They're
to find out
driving
where they're
past
at.
them
They're driving past
daily.
Yeah, because we started, as we started to acquire more properties, we started to have to think out of the box.
Right.
One of the things that we did, and we start looking at, I can look at a 4-unit property. You can look at the same 4-unit property. You don't see an opportunity.
Right.
We may see an opportunity. So it's important that you sit with someone
Who
that
has the
has the
experience.
experience and has
That's
the
right.
vision. Give you one example. We had a friend of mine who bought a 4-plex. Now this 4-plex was each 1 bedroom, 1 bath. It stayed on the market for a long time. Nobody wanted to touch it because they figured it would be hard to rent. Usually when you're buying an investment property
Yes.
that's a 4 units, you want a better mix. What I mean by that, you want at least 1 unit or 2 units to be a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and maybe a 3-bedroom, 2 bath, because you're going to have a family in there, and you're going to have a longer-term tenant.
That's right.
Right. So everyone passed on this opportunity. He looked at that same opportunity and said, the average square footage for a 2-bedroom is 1,000 square feet or 800 square feet. Well, these 1-bedrooms were 800 square feet. So what he did was put a dividing wall inside he changed the inside of the actual apartments to make them 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. It almost doubled
That's
the
right.
value.
That's right.
Right. So that was an investment opportunity.
That was an investment
So
opportunity.
we're thinking outside the box.
That's right.
Right. So now we have to look at different opportunities outside the box, and as you go along and you meet with experienced investors, they can teach you these things.
That's right.
That you can't see.
That's right.
So you'll start diversifying your portfolio, but it's important that you take the first step, which is to get into the game.
Exactly. And again, hopefully my listeners have a pen in hand by now, because I know they're probably feverishly writing things down, and I want to make sure they have your phone numbers and contact information so that you can take them on that journey.
Okay. Again, Yolanda, and my phone number is 562-755-3123. 562-755-3123.
Abraham is 562-755-1602. That's 562-755-1602. And you can email us at ykellywilliams@kw.com. The letter Y, kellywilliams@kw.com.
I love it. And, I was reading something, and it said that in Los Angeles County, the medium 1-bedroom apartment rents for between $1,400 and $2,000 for the median price. Now, you can find places that are less expensive to rent and more expensive to rent, but the medium is about $1,400, between $1,400 for 1 bedroom and $2,000. That's not only a big spread, that's a lot of money to rent an apartment. So usually when you don't get any tax advantage from that. There's no tax break for renting an apartment. The tax breaks come when you purchase.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And my wife actually, she's the one who got me into the business. So she sat down with me and showed me this renting versus owning back then.
Right.
The big difference in the tax advantages.
That's right. Could you tell that little story, Yolanda, about the first place, about the renting the apartment versus purchasing something, and the cost of it and the taxes involved between you and Abraham when he had his first apartment? I love this story.
When we first, when Abraham and I first started dating, he lived in an apartment, and his landlord had raised his rent. His rent was at the time
It was
six. It was at 625 or
yeah,
675.
Yes, it was about 625. I think it was.
625.
Okay.
And I remember going to his house to visit that day. We were going to go out, and he said, "I'm so angry with my landlord." And I said, "Why is that?" "Oh, he raised my rent to $700." I said, "Really, $700?" "Yes, and that was a lot of money. That's a lot for him to raise my rent." He was so angry and so upset. So shortly after that, I told him, I said, "Abraham, we need to," because we were talking about marriage and getting together and buying our first house together.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him, I said, "Okay, well, I found one of the realtors in our office had a property that was for sale."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Why don't we go by and take a look at it?" So we went by, we looked at the house. I said, "We're going to get it." And he goes, "Well, no, let's just wait a minute." I said, no, well, let's go ahead and get it, because we were in the process of the marriage. So he said, "Well, let's just hold off." So we moved forward, and we did purchase the property. So he went from paying $700 to $1,700.
Okay.
That was a big jump for me. See, I'm a little bit different. I'm ready, aim, and I'll aim, and eventually I'll fire.
Right.
That's how I think.
Right.
And my wife she'll fire first and look at the damage later.
Yeah. I fire and then look for the showcases.
She looked for the shell cases. So
they're a perfect match.
That's
exactly.
what happened. So
yes.
you got to figure, from me going from let's back up a little bit. When I was paying $625 a month to $700, I told the landlord, I gave him my notice. I said, "I'm moving."
Wow.
Until I went a few apartments down at the time, and realized that they were paying $725. I said, I was just having a bad day. I said, "I'm just playing. I'm having a bad day. Please forgive me." And so
I'll just stay right here.
I'm gonna stay right where I'm at. I said, and we became good friends. His name was Marshall, so I would actually sit down with him and talk to him about investing, because he had an 8-unit at the time.
Okay.
But you realize sometimes you don't realize what you have until you have it.
That's right.
Until you're ready to give it up. So
that's right.
I learned real quick. I was happy where I was, but then my wife said, "We've got to move on."
Right.
Yes.
So we moved on, and that was a struggle for me as well. But we did it.
That's right.
And that ended up being one of the best investments and moves that we had ever made.
Because here's the thing, from your first conversation, Yolanda had a condo.
She had a condo.
So when she rented that condo out, that gave you guys some equity to put down on that first property. And then it also gave you a tax shelter for the second property that you were purchasing.
Yes.
So the difference in, even though you went up $1,000 in payment, tax-wise, it seems like what happened with that?
You know what? It worked out. See, she was already seasoned from there.
Right.
She was helping me out. We struggle a little bit, but we get there. Okay. But she was already seasoned in that process. I had not been that seasoned in that process. So she understood a little bit more than I did at that time, because she had been in the business before me.
That's right.
And so, but yeah, it worked out. So the money offset the money that we're making from the rental properties was offsetting the cost of our actual house.
Right.
So although it was $1,700 a month on paper we were paying, I think we had maybe $1,000 a month cash flow. We're really paying about the same.
Exactly.
$750 a month.
Exactly.
Is really what it came out to be. But she had a hard time explaining that to me. But we worked it out. We did.
Yeah.
Obviously, we worked it out.
Yeah, because after I went and consulted with my CPA.
Right.
And at that time, he said that it's a tax write-off.
That's right.
And once you own versus the renting, you're paying the same. You're paying $1,700, which would be, it's a rent for someone else.
That's right.
But a $1,700 monthly mortgage, that gave us a $500 increase. It helped us to keep the residual coming in on the other income properties.
That's right.
But at the same time, we were able to save money
that
we did not have before.
That's right. That's
so
that
right.
I
showed him that was the benefit of renting versus owning. Renting, you're giving out.
That's right.
Owning,
you're
gaining.
That's
you're
right.
gaining equity.
And always consult. And I'm glad you brought up a CPA. And we had a CPA and business attorney on last week, and they were just phenomenal.
Yes.
And always consult. When you're talking about purchasing property, whether it's a single family home that you and your family are going to live in, or if it's a duplex or whatever that we're talking about today, always consult with your CPA too. It takes a team to make wise financial decisions. That's why it's lunch with the finance bunch.
Yes.
It's a team of people who help you and point you in the right direction. So always consult with a CPA also to see what your tax breaks will be when you're talking about purchasing a property.
Absolutely. That's major.
Because they'll give you a breakdown. They'll show you what you're currently paying in your rent. And then they'll show you, as years go on, just say a 5-year, because people usually plan or make goals within 5-year increments.
Exactly.
And so they'll show you the difference in what monies you've saved and what you've paid into as far as renting. And then they can show you what you've gained over the years. So within that year time of renting, there's no money coming in because your landlord actually owns the property. So you're creating a residual income for him.
For him, that's right. And you have no control
And
because
you have no control.
Abraham didn't want to pay $700 a month for rent.